This is BBC World News, showcasing reports from the BBC's network of over 250 correspondents across the globe. In This Week.
An international commodities firm is to pay compensation to thousands of people affected by chemical waste dumped in Ivory Coast. Fighting for survival in northern Kenya. We have a special report on one of the worst droughts in living memory.
If the rains fail in October and November, we'll go into a total crisis. I can't even imagine how awful that would be.
Obama's media blitz. The U.S. president takes on his critics in a flurry of television interviews. Welcome to BBC World News. I'm Komla Dumont. Also in this program, Havana's huge concert. Hundreds of thousands of people pack into the Revolution Square calling for Cuba's reintegration into the world. And there's really a fast race in Shanghai, and Usain Bolt wasn't there.
Are you feeling the aftershock of the global recession?
I was laid off. I had to relocate, find a new job.
Get reactions and views from people across the world.
I don't think it's made much of a difference.
Are you struggling to make a living?
People who are looking for jobs couldn't find any.
Or are you living the dream?
That'll be a great opportunity to pursue what we've always wanted to do, go sailing.
To join the debate, go online to bbc.com/aftershock. Never stop asking.
This week's headlines: no sequel to Star Wars. President Obama impresses Moscow with a pledge to rethink the missile defense program. Provisional ballot results show that President Karzai has the majority he needs for re-election in Afghanistan, but there are still allegations of fraud. President Obama warns Wall Street it will not be business as usual after the recession.
We will not go back to the days of reckless behavior and unchecked excess that was at the heart of this crisis.
The Iraqi journalist who threw his shoes at President Bush is released, claiming he was tortured in jail. And you've heard of running with bulls. In the United States, some people found themselves shopping with them. Hello and welcome to This Week, a review of the major stories seen on BBC World News over the past 7 days.
When it comes to heavyweight boxing, we could be on the verge of a golden era. Fans have been waiting for the big stars to fight each other, but with so much money at stake and so much politics involved, the sport is anything but straightforward. Now on BBC World News, exclusive access to one of Britain's biggest talents as he goes in search of a heavyweight world title. We With Tory leadership favourite Boris Johnson saying the UK must and will leave the EU on the 31st of October, a no-deal Brexit looks increasingly likely. But what could it really mean? Now on BBC World News, Jane Corbyn travels the UK to find out, talking to those who fear financial ruin and those who see it as an opportunity. Panorama. As the war in Afghanistan enters its 18th year, civilian, military and police fatality rates are at an all-time high. As the Taliban cancels talks with the US and with worries about a US withdrawal, what does the future look like for the Afghan people? Now on BBC World News, Jonathan Beale reports. Now on BBC World News, our weekly in-depth look at the economic trends that are shaping Africa's future. In Business Africa.
This is BBC World News, our top stories. Braced for Storm Barry, Louisiana declares a state of emergency with warnings of high winds and heavy flooding as the tropical storm gathers strength.
People tell me that normally they can walk amongst these bushes and trees that have been almost completely submerged in water.
Facebook reportedly to be hit with a multi-billion-dollar fine over the misuse of personal data and privacy breaches. Hello, welcome to BBC World News.
This is BBC World News. I'm Lewis Vaughan-Jones. The latest headlines. Tropical storm Barry moves in. The first rains are starting to lash the Louisiana coastline with winds of up to 100 kilometres an hour. At least 26 people are killed in an attack by al-Shabaab militants on a hotel in southern Somalia.
Hello and welcome to BBC World News Today with me, Karen Giannoni. Our top stories. Celebrations as England win Cricket's World Cup for the first time, beating New Zealand in the final.
We did it! Joff delivered! And we were brilliant! Joffre delivered! He's a England, world champions!
A new leaked memo from the British ambassador. He claims President Trump ditched the Iran nuclear deal to spite Barack Obama. As Iranians cope with the crushing sanctions imposed by President Trump, the BBC's given rare access inside the country.
A miscalculation from any side could lead to a serious confrontation.
And after more than 5 hours on court and a 25-game final set, Novak Djokovic beats Roger Federer to retain his Wimbledon title. Hello, welcome to World News Today.
In a world of complex global news stories, we'll sift through the information to bring you what matters most. And with reaction and reporting in real time,
our immigration laws are a laughingstock all over the world.
You'll know what's happening around the world as we do.
And that these new measures won't actually stop Venezuelans coming over, it will just make the migrant crisis worse.
Whatever the story, we'll piece it together. Join me, Ros Atkins, for Outside Source on BBC World News. In a world of complex global news stories, we'll sift through the information to bring you what matters most. And with reaction and reporting in real time,
our immigration laws are a laughingstock all over the world.
You'll know what's happening around the world as we do.
And that these new measures won't actually stop Venezuelans coming over, it will just make the migrant crisis worse.
Whatever the story, we'll piece it together. Join me, Ros Atkins, for Outside Source on BBC World News.
You're watching GMT on BBC World News. Our top stories. President Trump is accused of racism after telling a group of ethnic minority politicians to go back to where they came from. He told the 4 women, 3 of whom were born in America, they should fix the catastrophic governments in their countries of origin instead of criticising the US. We'll bring you rare access from inside Iran as last-ditch talks try to stop the country's nuclear deal from collapsing.
Iran is still a good year away from developing a nuclear weapon. We think there is still some closing but small window to keep the deal alive.
England! And surely the most exciting World Cup cricket match of all time, England beating New Zealand in a thrilling final. Look at this picture. We're going to be talking to the diver who got up close and personal with this giant jellyfish. Also on the programme, Aaron is looking at China's economy today.
Yeah, Lucy, we know it's the world's second biggest, and we also know it's having a bit of a trade tussle with the biggest. And I tell you what, that US trade war is beginning to bite. China's economy grew at its slowest rate in nearly 30 years. So stay with us, because we're going to find out, what does Beijing do? Will it throw more cash into the economy? And will the low numbers force the Chinese to finally strike a deal with Washington?
Hello, welcome to GMT. I'm Lucy Hawkins. President Trump has triggered a furious reaction from the Democratic Party after he suggested that a group of ethnic minority Congress...
Catch up with all the latest sports news and results from around the globe. Now on BBC World News, Sport Today.